Okay, welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whether you are joining from. I'm Mars from Akindo, and I'm excited to be here for today's session. First of all, welcome to the SideShift online study session. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. I'm thrilled to introduce SideShift as part of this Buildathon program, designed to foster the next generation of groundbreaking crypto applications. So let's start with what's Buildathon. So Buildathon is a built-in acceleration program that supports innovators like all of you here today in bringing your ideas to market. Backed by top-tier partners, Buildathon provides grant and expert feedbacks to help you take your project to the next level. Whether you are starting something or something new or expanding existing projects. This time, the SideShift program kicks off on September 8th with a 30-day build-a-thon period and 7-day judging period. Participants will work on their project throughout the program, and those that are evaluated highly by the SideShift team will get the opportunity to pitch at our upcoming demo day, which we'll announce in the future wave. So today we are thrilled to have George and Blake from SideShift leading this workshop. SideShift is a non-custodial direct-to-wallet crypto exchange that allows users and builders to swap between over 200 digital assets across more than 40 blockchains. Their API lets developers add fast cross-chain swaps to any app or wallet. In this engaging session, George and Blake will break down the SideShift is and how to build on it. They'll walk through its key features with practical examples, making it easier for you to build dApps. So we'll also have a Q&A session at the end, so feel free to comment on YouTube, and throughout the session, we'll try to address as many questions as we can. Okay, and theme is launch real crypto. Theme challenges you to build impactful cross-chain, scale them to real users. As you can see, grants of 3,000 will be distributed during the first wave, and from the let me just say, from the third wave, the $10,000 will be awarded through the SideShift Buildathon. This is a great opportunity to contribute to the SideShift and present your innovative ideas. Right now, it's a perfect moment to start preparing your project before SideShift Buildathon kicks off on September 8th, or even earlier if you're ready. How you leverage SideShift API to push the boundaries of what's possible in the blockchain space. So now without further ado, let's welcome George and Blake and to share their insight. So much for joining us today. We are all excited to learn more about SideShift. Ready, guys?
Yes.
Sure. All right. So right, great.
Just a heads up, Moz. I think you were glitching. You were glitching a lot through that. I don't know if your connection was letting you down. It was very jumpy, but
oh my God.
hopefully the audience managed to get the gist.
Sorry, guys. Yeah.
No worries. All good. All good. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully that's coming through for you folks.
Yes, we can see it. Also, I guess it's worthwhile just introducing ourselves. So I'm Blake. I'm the head of marketing at SideShift, and we've got George here, the DevRel. So yeah, we'll be going through the presentation. The first part will be myself talking you through, giving you the overview of SideShift, and what we do, what problems we're solving, and a bit more detail on that side. And then George will be diving into the hackathon specific stuff, which will come after my part. So yeah, let's get started. Let's move on to the first slide. So as I'm sure you saw Moz mention, SideShift AI, we're a direct to wallet crypto exchange. We have 200 plus assets listed across 40 blockchains, likely more. There's often new chains and assets being added on a daily basis. We have to actually check in with the team and check how accurate that is. It could be substantially higher now, even after a couple of weeks. So we've been around since 2019. So we're definitely not new to the space. Andreas Brecken is the founder of SideShift. He was a very early Bitcoiner, worked at Kraken in the past. So we've got very deep roots when it comes to the exchange side of the industry, which has served us very well. Then in terms of SideShift as a product, so we sit in between what you know as centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges. We're filling a void there where often people are wanting to move between assets and chains very fast. At times there's kind of pitfalls with using traditional centralized exchanges and also decentralized platforms to achieve that. So I'll definitely be running through more of that in this presentation about exactly what problems we fix. But yeah, traders are using us, people bridging as well. That's definitely like a common use case for us. In terms of another kind of key USP for us and where we differentiate ourselves is in terms of the support. So we have 24/7 customer support. The response times are very, very fast. So if you're integrating SideShift into your project, like you will be doing in this Buildathon, if your users have any issues, then those issues are resolved very, very fast. Obviously, we like to have as few issues as possible, but they do arise from time to time. And when they do, it's taken care of very, very quickly. Next slide, please, George. So yeah, in terms of where we're at so far, so SideShift, we do anything between $2 to $6 million a day in volume. I think the peak has been up at around 7 or 8. But out of that, to date, we've done 2.7 billion, over $2.7 billion of volume. We have tens of thousands of monthly users it's a very sticky product. Usually when people use it, they do realize how pleasant it is to use. The focus on ease of use is great, it's super fast. So users do keep coming back. We have some very key integrations as well. So it's worth noting that in terms of our split with volume, it's usually about 40 to 50% of that volume comes from integrations that we have. The other part is directly on site, but the integrations and projects that we work with are a big driver for the volume. And yeah, we've got some great partners. So if you're a Trezor user, which I imagine a large number of you are, then if you just head into your Trezor suite, for example, and click swap, you will see SideShift alongside a bunch of other swap providers, and you can easily trade your assets with us directly inside your Trezor suite. So that's super nice. Again, wallets are a very key target for us. It's been the easiest integration so far. As you can see there, we're integrated with Bitcoin.com wallet, Edge wallet. There's a whole bunch which we'll run through. I'll show you the screen, show you the view after this of some of our partners. Wallets have been very easy as an integration for us. It's just the easiest fit where a wallet is looking to generate other forms of revenue that users have literal crypto inside the wallet. And then what we do is we just give them a way to monetize those users, and everyone wins. But what I think George is going to get onto more as this in his part of the presentation is the API in particular is super super flexible, focused. It was built to be very simple, but that means there's an insane number of options that you can, insane number of ways you can use it. So yeah, I'm excited to see what you guys spin up in this buildathon. Next slide, please, George. So this is more focused on you guys building projects that utilize SideShift. So if you're looking to integrate swaps or bridging into your platform, it can be a bit of a minefield at times. So it can be very confusing and slow. So for new users, like it depends how you're routing the transactions. But you have two sides to it. One side is if you integrate with a centralized platform, then you have a whole host of other requirements. Your users technically need to be a user the of the centralized exchange before you can really integrate. And then you've got the opposite end of the spectrum where you've got the more decentralized options, which are great, but at the same time, they can be a little bit confusing at times. I know there's been great strides to simplify crypto, but sometimes if you can go down some rabbit holes when you're looking at certain DeFi products, and it can be a bit stressful. I think more so for new users as well. So also often if you integrate some of these platforms, the it requires your users to leave your app or your dApp to go and utilize them. It may be just through referral links or whatever it is. But with SideShift, what we've done really well is the API is really well built out, and you can pretty much have a branded service on your side, which is just leveraging our swap solution. So yeah, we can be as involved or as visible as you like. It's definitely up to you. So there's definitely a lot of options there for how you can work with the API. It's also worth mentioning as well. I know I mentioned this in the previous slide. The support issue in crypto is always something that comes up. I'm sure you guys have all seen if you hang out on crypto Twitter, you will see countless people mentioning, funds are stuck on a bridge, or that they've no idea where they went. And that happens all the time. It's a the kind of one of the beauties of crypto is that everyone's in control of their funds. But then that also means that newer users to the space, and even people who've been in the space for a while, can make mistakes and have no idea what's happened. With us, the response times, as I mentioned, in terms of support, are super fast. If you're building with us, you have a few different options of how you handle the support. If you decide that you have a fully built out support team on your side, it's totally fine to have all your support routing through them, and we have dedicated channels with you to sync your support team, whoever that is, with our support team to handle any issues. Or at the same time, you can literally just have a link to help@SideShift.ai, and your users can be they'll just be fed into our support team support process on the SideShift side, and the issue will be resolved pretty quickly. Yeah, that's always been something that we've really pushed because it does help a lot. It's also if you kind of want to see the proof of that, you can head over to Trustpilot as well and see a bunch of reviews of real users there, and see what users are saying about how quick the support is. That's always been something we've really taken pride in. George, next slide, please. So then, yeah, in terms of how we fix it, so you're trying to onboard new users and allow really easy, straightforward swaps in your app. That's where we come in. It's very, very straightforward to hook it up. Especially now, we've got a really big focus on listing new chains and new assets. Obviously, from our side, we need to just in terms of the technical requirements, we have to make sure there's a bit of traction there. So it's hard when stuff is very, very new. But if there is a bit of traction there, there's no reason why we can't often just get something listed. Obviously, it varies chain to chain as well, how difficult that is in terms of sourcing liquidity as well. But yeah, our focus is to offer your users the fastest way to swap directly in your app. It's worth mentioning as well that, yeah, we only require one confirmation for most swaps. There are a couple of exceptions, but for the most part, it's one confirmation. So, for example, if you're you or your users are moving between, an ETH L2 and Solana, for example, that's going to be really, really fast. The block time's obviously, super, super quick. So you can have finality on that trade very quickly. Then, if you're thinking you have users that are holding or wanting to move BTC, it can take a little bit longer. Obviously you'd be hit by the up to 10 minutes per block usually. But again, from our side, we see that as a much more lightweight, a much faster solution than what you get in a lot of other scenarios right now. So, for example, I always use this as a just to explain it a bit better. So, if you have BTC and you are looking to trade that for Solana, if you want to do that on a centralized exchange, you're going to have to send the funds into the exchange, send the BTC in. That's going to require at least one confirmation. Then usually, I'm sure if you use a regular centralized exchange, it can take a little bit of time for it to be fully in your account and ready to use. Often there's cooldown periods. You have to wait a little bit of time to actually withdraw it. Then when you come to withdraw, that can also take another confirmation or two. There's checks on their side as well, which I understand they have to run. So that process can end up being a 30 to 40-minute process. Whereas if you were doing that with SideShift, it's 10 to 12 minutes and it's fully moved and bridged for you, and where you're looking to receive the funds. So for users who are wanting to move quite quickly, it's great. And then also, as I mentioned, if there is an issue that comes up, we can be very, very fast to look into it. And issues are rare, but they do happen. It may literally be that, a user sent to the wrong chain. We do try our best always to recover any funds if there's a possibility of that. But it does happen from time to time. Like we've all been there when you go to, you're sending to a one address and somehow it's not been detected in the wallet that it's not compatible. Something's just gone wrong. And yeah, you're stressing out about the lost funds. But for us, we always make sure that, we want users to be made whole, and do our best to resolve that. The other caveat as well is that, yeah, if your users are using SideShift, you literally only need a wallet address to get started. There is no account set up. If as an integration, you basically just go on the site and you're automatically assigned an account ID, and then you just save the private key to that, which you'll then have access to all the rewards or the affiliate commission that you earn. But your users, yeah, technically they don't need to sign up for anything. It's literally just send the funds in, tell us where you would like those funds to go, and then they receive the funds to that address. It's very, very straightforward. Yeah. Next slide, please, George. So here are some of the benefits as well for you guys. Obviously, I understand, yeah, as a buildathon, there are initial benefits too. Obviously, you can earn your share of the 10K prize pool, which is great. But what we would love more than anything is if some of these projects actually do keep growing, and basically are leveraging SideShift as a revenue source. So, you by default, you earn 0.5% of volume that passes through your integration. There are no extra fees for your users on that. They get exactly the same rate through your integration in the API as they would directly on the site. So there's no like hidden fees or anything there. But where it's cool is, sometimes different projects, it depends on the use case. They do want to add extra fees. And there's a way to do that. So, speaking to our team, they can set up on our side a custom fee. So say you want to add, an extra 0.5% because there's a bit more price that the user that you're targeting is not as price sensitive, then that's fine. We can set that up. There are even ways to customize it further if you want to kind of A/B test it a bit, and set up a few different price points, A/B test that, and we'll just then work with you to work out what the best option is going forward for your user. it's very flexible. We have a partner dashboard as well, which you can use to track all your earnings and track everything that's going on. The features are being added to that on a regular basis. But again, like I mentioned, there's ways to be it's easy to be in touch with our team, and we're always happy to customize, and we're trying to help you basically generate more revenue as well. That benefits everyone. So we're always happy to work with you guys if there's anything that needs setting up. Yeah, and then as I mentioned, it's exactly the same coin asset availability, rates, and support the user experience on the site. Everything is the same as an integration. The goal for us is just basically just to pass on some of the benefit to you guys. But yeah, it's exactly the same. Whatever's going on in the back end with the swaps, your users are getting the exact same thing as users get on the site, which has gone down very well today. So it's also worth mentioning as well that your rewards are automatically accrued in SideShift token, which is our ERC20 token. But where it gets interesting is that you can set up thresholds on that. So you can say, after every $500 earned, you want to have a withdrawal into ETH or stable coins, whatever it is. And that will just automatically happen as soon as that number is reached. So we're very flexible on that side of things. And yeah, you can be paid out on whatever you like. George, the next slide, please. Yeah, so here, as I mentioned before, here are some of the integrations that we have. This is just a snapshot of some of them. It varies, as I said, in terms of what the integrations do. Wallets are the obvious fit for us, but I think where it gets really interesting with this Buildathon, I'm really excited to see what comes of it, is there are a whole host of possible use cases. The API, as George will show you after I've wrapped up here, is it's built to be for simplicity. The goal is for SideShift to strip back as much as possible and make it so it's the easiest way to trade from A to B. That's always been our goal. And we've had use cases now where the wallets are the primary one, but payment processors, people working in the gaming space as well. That's always been a big one. But I'm very, very intrigued to see what cool stuff you guys can build. I think there's a lot of interesting verticals that are unexplored, and that maybe are very, very beneficial. That's all from me. I think that's the last slide, George, right? Now it's over
I think
to you.
so, yeah. It is indeed. So that, in fact, that was a neat little carryover into why this hackathon. And thanks, Blake, for taking us through a bit of SideShift history and some of the use cases there. Why this hackathon? Basically, we're looking for the weirdest, wackiest, most creative new use of the SideShift API. It's been alluded to that a sort of natural integration for us has been wallets, some in the gaming industry, but you will have noticed on the registration page on Akindo that we've got some proposed different tracks, whether that is in the DeFi space, whether that is in gaming, whether that's using AI or automation. There's a number of different options there. Those suggested tracks are purely for inspiration's sake. So the floor is open. Our API documentation is open, and the simplicity of the API should be able to unlock a host of different real-world use cases for developers to build on. We're really interested as well in this becoming a as opposed to just a short-term thing that you're potentially doing to draw from the prize pool. We want to bring in more developers and builders in the space into the SideShift ecosystem. So we're hoping and we'll support you to ensure that your project continues past the Buildathon dates. That's ultimately my role and the integration specialist as well, who I'm sure you'll have engagement with at some point. We're here to ensure that your project and what you intend on building has the best chances of successes, and that we ultimately want to connect those building on the API with real world use cases and therefore real world customers. And we will support you on that journey as well. So just a bit of structure. Again, I'm sure people will have seen this from having registered for this call and on the page itself, but I just wanted to run through a couple of key items. We've got some key dates. We're kicking off today. Wave 1 begins in earnest on Monday next week. So from the point of this call, if you were on the fence, I know we had a lot of registrations for the onboarding call, and there is definitely room to accept more builders if you were unsure, and hopefully we can win you over. We will be kicking off Wave 1 Monday next week. Those submissions will close on the 6th of October. So we've got 3 4-week waves, so a month-long sprint, basically. The waves will run between the beginning of September and the mid to end of December. So final submissions will be by the 15th of December. And we want to make announcements for key projects and key outcomes before Christmas. So it can be a nice Christmas bonus for you, maybe, for those watching. The only rule is that you must use the SideShift API within your build. I think that goes without saying. In terms of other rules, the doors are open really in terms of what you create with the API. And again, any questions or if you're unsure or require further support, we'll have various check-in points along the way. You can obviously engage with us through the WaveHack site on Akindo. We've also got the Discord set up and the Telegram, which I'll come onto on the final point. In terms of prize pool, we've got a 10K USDC prize pool in total. That will be split across the waves, with waves 1 and 2 both being 3,000 USDC and the final wave 4,000 USDC. Potential bonus prizes will be available along the way, depending on what we see people building on, just in terms of most creative example, or if there's a particularly excellent project in terms of technical standard and use case. Those may be available along the way. I've already alluded to the support piece. We've got a Telegram group that is linked out here. I think we'll get these slides in some form linked onto the page as well, so you have access to this after. And all of these links should be in the Akindo WaveHack site as is. There's a Discord as well. What we'll look to achieve as well is a weekly-ish, I'm going to say weekly-ish because we may not be able to achieve it every week. We'll have a drop-in call where it'll be myself, maybe one of the dev team as well. We'll look to run that on Fridays at 10:30 hours UTC, where you can drop in, ask us questions. Maybe you've got specific issues or challenges that you're facing, and we can address those in person then as well. I'll chat with Moz in terms of how we can circulate the invites for those in the best way to make sure people are able to join either via the Telegram or Discord, will be the case. Cool. What I'm going to do now, there's going to be a little bit of jumping back and forth. I'm going to take you through some of the integration documents and how to access these. I'm going to talk a little bit about the API. So we're going to chop and change back and forth a little bit. In terms of getting started, once you go to SideShift.ai, providing you're not trying to access us from a blocked location, which I'll also cover, certain countries won't be able to participate in this, USA being one of those, as we don't currently operate there. The others I'll cover once we get into the details. But if you go to SideShift.ai, this is the page that you'll see. At the top of the page, you'll see on the home screen a box that says integrate. If you click on this, it will take you through to the getting started page, which I will jump over to now. Let's just go to going to have to reshare my screen. Sorry, folks. Cool. Hopefully you can see that. Cool. So from the site, I click on integrate. It'll take me to this page. I click on visit API, and that will open up all the documentation. We've got the API docs within here, the endpoints themselves, troubleshooting errors, and there's an FAQ section as well with some how-to videos, walk through, talk through to achieve certain bits of functionality. I'm going to just jump into the API intro and talk a little bit around getting started. Oh, hang on 1 second. Let me just check my screen share. Is that all good? Yeah, cool. So first things first is to create an account. Once you get to SideShift, the account should be created automatically in one of two ways. If you either visit the account page, you'll be auto-assigned. I'll see if I can replicate this, in fact. Here we go. It's done it already because I visited here. If I go to my account, this is an automatically generated account ID that you'll see here. This is what we're referring to within the documentation. What you'll need to do is copy the private key and keep this as X SideShift secret. It hopefully goes without saying to never share this private key with anyone. It ultimately provides the account access to your account and therefore should be protected with a level of secrecy. You'll also want your account ID, which is passed as affiliate ID. And from that point, really, you're ready to make a start. Two key requirements for integrators and getting started, like I said, is that private key and then the account ID. From that point on, you can begin playing around with the endpoints. Here you can request a quote and start creating shifts. Before I go any further, I do just want to talk a little bit about the flow of a shift. We're not going to go through every single one of these pages, but I want to take you through some of the key ones that are basically going to get you to the point that will enable you to start this building. Part of that is going to be talking about the flow of a shift. So we've got fixed rate shifts and variable rate shifts. Fixed rate is basically going to provide you a locked in rate for 15 minutes at the point of creation. Variable rate will just use a market rate. The main difference between these two really is that fixed rate shifts, it requires a two-step process with a code request. Variable rate shifts only requires one API call. And within that, there's rate limits of 5 shifts per minute for creating those shifts, and 20 codes per minute for requesting codes. So just to be aware of that. And this is all included within the documentation as well. When rate limits are exceeded, the API, in fact, I'll come back to rate limits because that's a separate topic, and we'll talk through the flow first. So for a fixed rate, you request a quote via the quotes endpoint. That goes to the SideShift API. Quotes are returned. You can lock, this is a fixed rate shift, so that's locked then for 15 minutes. Then create the shift. That will return the deposit address. The deposit address then goes to the chain. Deposit is confirmed. The shift is processed. The funds will be settled, and then the user or integrator will receive the funds. So the only difference really for the variable rate is it's just one call is required. So you create the shift. You can see the slightly less steps in this flow. This returns the deposit address. Deposit amount is within range. That goes on chain. The deposit's confirmed. The rate is calculated at the current market price, and therefore the shift will be processed at that market rate. that settles, and then the user or integrator receives those funds. Hopefully that all makes sense. I personally found this visual really useful for getting started. For those new to this and new for creating shifts, I hope it's the same. We've also included here the names of the endpoints, and I'll come on to that later. But this shift area of the documentation should be a nice starting point for those getting up to speed once they've created their account, have stored their private key, and have stored their account ID as well. What I'm going to go to next is rate limits. So I spoke a little bit about this, and here are the limits that I was alluding to. So for creating a shift, up to 5 shifts per minute. If you are going to hit a rate limit, or you hit the when the rate limits are exceeded, the API is basically going to return a 403 error. Integrators will have to wait for those variable rate shifts to expire, or they can use the cancel endpoint after 5 minutes to create new shifts. So that cancel endpoint is here, cancel. So just to be aware of that, if you receive that 403 error, you can solve that by using the cancel endpoint. This page, creating a quote, yeah, clients can create up to 20 quotes per minute. And just to be aware that when you're building, that's how many times you can poll this endpoint. What I'm going to move on to now is a slightly more comprehensive document, which is the Shift integration guide. So I'm whizzing through this. I don't know, we're going to, Moz, did you say we'll address questions at the end as a oneer, as opposed to on the way through? Is that preferable?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
okay.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. We'll cover. So if you've got questions already as you go through, please collate these or drop them in the chat, and we can look to cover those at the end as well. Next up is the Shift integration guide. So we've covered the getting started piece. We've covered the rate limits, and I've covered the visuals for Shift. I think this is the other key area of the documentation that builders will be interested in. We've got some best practices and tips within here, talking about setting up the environment variables here and some direction around that. A reminder not to be sharing your key. In terms of error handling and monitoring, this will be really crucial, especially for getting support from both myself and the integration specialists. So ensure that you're implementing a logging system, you're monitoring API response times, and also tracking any failed requests. As much detail as possible is helpful, so that we can obviously assist you as you go through the build. In terms of creating a quote, we've got some direction around this in terms of the endpoints. A point I want to draw out here is that around the header and within the requests, it's important to always include your X SideShift secret header, and also to ensure that the IP address should be forwarded as X user IP. The reason for this is it basically, the X user IP header is required to call those endpoints via server. SideShift doesn't allow proxying user requests or VPN usage. It's just so this header helps us determine if users are from restricted countries or not, which is a nice segue into that point entirely. So I'll just cover SideShift API, which territories won't be able to use this. Here we go. Let's go to the FAQ section. I think I had it there, sorry. Schools, why am I booked? Here we go. So users trying to access from, or builders for that matter, won't be able to access SideShift from these locations. So that X user IP, just that being included in the header will just ensure that those criteria are met. Cool. So to go back to the Shift integration guide, it's also worth being aware that some assets that you're shifting, so assets like XRP Ledger or Stellar, XLM will require a memo, so that a unique identifier when making transactions, and that will be returned in the API response and can be checked when calling the coins endpoint. So just to be aware of that piece as well for specific blockchains or tokens that you'll be swapping is that memo piece, and to include that. And I don't want to laboriously read through all of the details here because builders will have free time to be able to do this and of course ask more detailed questions around this. But this Shift integration guide should give you everything that you need to know to ensure that your API calls are set up appropriately to be achieving those shifts. Just going to check back through my notes to make sure I haven't missed out anything too pertinent here. For checking shift status, I suppose that's another important factor. You can poll the shift endpoint every few seconds using the shift ID returned. So once the shift is created, you'll get a shift ID. With that ID, there is an endpoint here called shift. And you can poll that on a regular basis, basically, to get the status of the shift. I'll talk through the different statuses as well, so that you're aware of those. But that's something to be aware of. Blake's already touched on the fact that some of these shifts will be finalizing or reaching finality within a matter of seconds, but for longer or slower chains, or blockchains that do require more than one confirmation. I think it is only one or two chains. I think Doge may require 2 block confirmations, as opposed to just the one, which is for the majority. But you can pick up that shift status by polling the shift endpoint with the shift ID to check the progress of how that shift is progressing. So that covers the majority of the documentation that I wanted to run through. You've got all of the endpoints here. So within here, the shift endpoint, you can play around with this and send requests within the documentation within here. In terms of the integration guide as well, for those wanting to play around, there is a demo app that is a little bit rough and ready that you can test out things within the documentation here. And then there's a link out as well for the support. We do have FAQs within here and how-to videos to achieve certain actions if you are struggling. But in terms of the key API docs to get started, it's the ones I've covered. Getting started in terms of your account ID and your private key. Shift, which will show you the flow of how this is working behind the scenes and what calls are needing to be made at which point. The rate limits piece, so that you're aware of that. And also aware of what will happen if you exceed the rate limit and that 403 error, and also how to use the cancel endpoint if you need to, and the Shift integration guide in terms of tips and slightly finer details in order to achieving the Shift integrations within whatever it may be that you're building. All of the endpoints are located here. And then we have this troubleshoot errors section within the documentation, and FAQs, which may link out to that site that you saw me go to that clarified which territories and regions are unable to use SideShift. So within that point there. Down here as well, we've got the handy little support icon and the Telegram and the Discord that will be at your disposal for contacting myself, the integration specialist, or one of the other developer teams. Hopefully that gives a good idea of all of the documentation. I'm going to jump back to the slides now. So we've covered getting started. We've covered Shift. We've covered rate limits for the API limits, the integration guide, and the support piece. So all of the documentation, all of the community channels, the Discord, the Telegram, myself and the integration specialist, and those regular open Q&A sessions that will continue throughout the waves all the way through to December. And we'll circulate information out on the relevant channels to make sure that people are able to access those forums as well. In terms of the submissions themselves and how we'll be evaluating and scoring on each wave, we have split this up across 6 different categories. So we have, firstly, the technical execution. So how well has the API been integrated and the technical execution of the integration itself. That's from a standpoint of correct API usage, clean UX, the sophistication of what you've built, how well it's documented and easy for our development team to understand what you've built as well. That's going to be weighted at around 20%. The use case relevance is second to that. It's super important. We want relevant use cases that are going to be actually creating real world value for users. So solving real problems, the impact of that, whatever space that may be that you're building within, whether it's using smart accounts to unlock weird and wonderful applications in DeFi, into using Aave via the use of smart accounts, or whether it's AI and automation, whatever it may be, or Web3 gaming, whether that's gambling or games themselves. So use case relevance will be really important. The originality and innovation of your project. So novel ideas, creative application of token swaps. I think that explains itself. SideShift values and crypto native. So Web3 aligned, it's got to be secure, it's got to be user friendly. A lot of what we're doing or core to what we're doing at SideShift is trying to be as user friendly as possible and make this simple. So that is going to be a judging criteria that we look at as well. Product design and usability. So clear flows, intuitive interfaces, documentation piece kind of comes in here as well. Slightly different from technical execution and documentation. It's got to be well documented on that side of things, but also is it easy for a user to pick up, understand, and use straight away? And then the presentation and communication of that. So what you're building, can it be demoed? Is there a storyline behind it? How are you going to communicate? How you communicate what you built is going to be very important as well. And just some tips for success along the way. Start small, move fast, break things, test integrations early. So this probably goes without saying, and I'm sure a lot of the builders joining will have tons of experience. And having said, I wasn't going to teach people to suck eggs. This may be teaching people to suck eggs, but start small, iterate fast, test early. Use us as well. Ultimately, SideShift is here to support all of the builders through these 3 waves. We want your projects to be successful. So we'll be going on the journey with you. So use those channels provided to access myself and others on the team, and focus on outcomes that can be demonstrated as well. We want you to be experimental, but equally, it's better to have something that can be shown, as opposed to just a concept at the end of each waves. So those would be the tips really. And beginning to draw us to a bit of a close here. If you haven't done so already or sat on the fence, please go ahead, register, join the Buildathon on Akindo. There'll be a link on the channels. Go to SideShift AI, get your account ID and private key as shown through the documentation. And if you haven't done already, I'm sure people or those registered will have had the creative juices flowing already, but start creating those ideas, reach out if stuck, and you will know where to find us. Moz, that covers everything I think we wanted to go through from an integration standpoint, from structure, judging criteria, where the documents are located, and where developers can find support. So hopefully that's given everything that builders will need to get started with SideShift. And yeah, happy to open the floor to some questions.
Yeah, okay, thank you for your presentation and for leading the session, Blake and George. Yeah, these inclusive explanation will definitely help all viewers. By the way, sorry for the inconvenience earlier, guys. I got a bad connection, which causes a glitch on the live stream at the beginning. However, thanks to the SideShift team, the session has continued smoothly. I will cover the info I mentioned before at the end. So yeah, now we have a live Q&A session, as George mentioned, and anyone can ask the SideShift team anything about SideShift. So feel free to comment on YouTube. So we've already got some questions in the YouTube comments. Let's jump in and see what you guys want to know. Actually, we have a lot of questions. That's really nice. Seems like quite popular for the SideShift Buildathon. So yeah, let's start from the first one. Ali, Alienate. Thanks for your question. And question is, what's the difference of the swaps with Uniswap or Pancake? Yeah, the other computed other swaps. What's the difference? You guys can answer, maybe Blake or George.
In terms of how we differentiate ourselves
Yeah.
from DEX, right? Yeah. So obviously, those two you mentioned, you're talking about decentralized a DEX, decentralized exchange. For us, where we come in is we can help you with a lot more esoteric trades. So for example, like you can't trade BTC on Uniswap or PancakeSwap. I think so, especially for PancakeSwap, you're pretty much locked into BNB chain. I know Uniswap is multi-chain now. But for us, where we come in is helping you bridge between different chains. And the way things are right now, obviously there is still, if you think about BTC as an example, there's a lot of capital there, and people moving between, wanting to move that into different onto different chains, and that's kind of where we come in, just helping you bridge between them primarily. In terms of if you wanted to swap though, on the same chain, we can definitely help with that too. It's just anything to anything. I guess that's the key point. Like with some dexes, you're locked into certain chains or there's certain limitations. With us, it's if you can see the coin on the site, then you can swap that for any other coin listed. I guess that's how I would differentiate us.
Awesome. Thank you for your answering. Yeah, let's move on to the next question. From same person, Alien Nate. Is there KYC, KYB within SideShift?
Yeah, I can jump in on that. So yeah, I mean, SideShift as a platform, we're always focused on being a good actor in the space. The goal for us is to protect our users and yours as an integration partner. We want to do our best to avoid these situations where funds are moving around that have been involved in illicit activity or hacks, scams, whatever it is. So we do have some processes in place to help with that. So we work with several industry-leading third-party risk solutions, which help us work out the destination and the source of transactions. You know, if a transaction is flagged under that, which for the most part, most people using crypto are using it for very innocent means, you know, whatever their reasons are. But sometimes these things come up. So we have to make sure that we're putting things in place to stop that. But if a transaction is flagged, the funds will be there will just be a pause on the transaction, and our team will then manually review that and just check what the situation is, you know, the severity of it too, and potentially put a hold on those funds up to 7 days. They may request further information at that point. You know, you may have to complete verification just to have that resolved. But you know, for the most part, these things are quite rare, but we do have to have systems in place to protect us, protect users from that, and protect ourselves and remain compliant too. So that does have to be implemented to some degree. But yeah, if that does come up, then the support team are really quick to jump in and can help you and you know, ask you the questions required to get things moving forward. Yeah, if that answers the question, hopefully it
All right.
does. Oh, also,
Yeah,
it's worth
it's
mentioning is,
Mhm.
sorry, just to jump in as well.
Go ahead.
If you actually on our FAQ, so help.sideshift.ai, which is also another valuable resource, I guess, for this. You can see SideShift AI's risk management policy, which clearly breaks this down. It just, you know, mentions exactly what happens if a transaction is flagged, and yeah, what happens next. But it's from our side, you know, we would love it if that's not the case, but there are some people in this,
Mhm.
you know, there's bad actors in every space, so we have to make sure that users are protected from that.
Yeah, it's a good to be aware of it in advance. So yeah, thank you for sharing the info and yeah, thank you for your question as well. Um, so the next one is Tire Dev from Tire Dev. Is there any idea page or request for startups page? That question, if you guys can answer.
We
Or
no, we don't have so request for startup, did you say, or ideas page?
yeah, so
Um,
question was is there any idea page or request for
there's
startup?
not. There's all we've got in terms of in line with that is the suggested tracks that can be used as inspiration to build on. We haven't publicized any specific
Mhm.
integrations that we're looking for. We're leaving that door open. So a key part of that was we didn't want to, on this occasion, box people into building in a certain direction. We wanted to open the door, so to speak,
Mhm.
with our API and see what the community builders came up with. That being said, we did give some ideas around that, but it's not strict in terms of you don't have to build within those categories that we've identified on the page. It's open. So to answer the question, no, we haven't said specific integrations that we're looking for. We haven't publicized that list. It's open.
Right. You guys can check on a Kindle page, a Kindle SideShift page, so that yeah, it's just that there's some of the there was some of the example there. So, but like that is just example as George mentioned. So you can explore your idea and whatever you want, and yeah. So this is an open Buildathon. So that yeah, let's go to the next one. Next question: is there on off ramp support? Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah,
Yeah, I can jump in
that's
for
good.
that one. So SideShift is purely crypto to crypto. We don't offer on ramps or off ramps. That's not to say, you know, if you spin up some sort of use case where you're adding a few different building blocks and that's an essential part of it, SideShift does partner with that very well. We just take care of the crypto to crypto part. But at present, yeah, we don't have on ramp or off ramping with SideShift.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for your answer. And seems we have like 4 questions left. Yeah, let's go from the Coin IQ's question. Thank you, Coin IQ, for your question. And how do I authenticate API requests and handle rate limits?
Sure. So in terms of the authentication part, you will have the account ID, so the affiliate ID, you'll be passing that, and also as your SideShift secret. In terms of if there's specific other questions around that, we don't have our integration specialist on the call, but I can take that offline and double check if they want some more details around that. But those two key parts, the account ID and the secret, the private key, which will be passed in the headers of the requests, those will be key to identifying who you are. The second part of the question was on rate limits. What was the detail around that
Uh,
one, Maz? Sorry, was it?
yeah, the question was that how do they handle the rate limits?
Okay. So rate limits will be enforced per IP address. So creating a shift, it's up to 5 shifts per minute, and it's up to 20 quotes per minute. And that's done on a IP by IP address.
Mm.
That's how we differentiate basically.
Actually, I had a question in terms of this. Let's say like some user want to extend the limit. Is it like possible? Like, do you have like any like whitelist to extend the limit, or actually you don't really like they have that basically to open a cap?
It's a great question. I can check with our technical team and come back to you on that one.
All right. Yeah. There are actually those questions that for answer, like you can ask in the Discord later on as well. So yeah, feel free to answer later as well. So yeah, let's go to the next question. And what happens if a blockchain is congested or the system is under maintenance? Yeah, sometimes
Yeah, I
it
can.
happens. Hmm.
Yeah, it does. I can jump in with that as well. I think that the API uptime in particular is very, very high, right, George? It's like 90, it's on the dock somewhere. But in terms of SideShift as a service, yeah, I mean, from time to time, blockchains do get congested.
Mm.
It at that point, it's not going to be just a SideShift issue. We've seen it in the past. It's happened on every single chain I've ever traded on, I think. But sometimes we just have to wait for them to become uncongested. And there may be issues on our side. Sometimes, our support team and operations team are really keeping a close eye on chain health and what's going on different chains. So if there's some sort of upgrade on a particular chain, or things are just getting a bit out of hand, they may temporarily pause trading on that network. That's a last resort. Obviously we hope we don't have to do that. Sometimes it happens just because it's the user experience would be so compromised, that it's not worth having more trades go through. But yeah, from a blockchain level, obviously we just kind of have to adapt a little bit. In terms of SideShift as a service, yeah, we've been around now since 2019. Obviously, in the early days, things are different when you're a startup. Now we've got a very well built out engineering team who are making sure that there's a lot of things in place to make sure that SideShift doesn't break. And yeah, the uptime's great. So, for the most part, that you won't see any issues. You won't really notice any issues from the SideShift side. Obviously, when it comes to the chain, then we have to just adapt a little bit, and you may have some downtime. If you in our Telegram chats, actually, so if you do, build an amazing product and you're continuing the journey as well, then our team is always on hand on Telegram and ready to offer like live updates as well. They'll tell you if something is down, and we'll be announcing in there and on X as well. So we always try and make sure that everyone's as informed as possible.
Right. Yeah. Oh, good. So yeah, let's go to the next one. This is also from the CoinIQ. The can I receive real-time updates, for example, via webhooks or WebSocket for shift status and rates?
I can take that one. So we did used to have a webhook. It we actually deprecated it. That's not to say it won't come back. In terms of collecting the status for that, you can call the shift endpoint. So you can poll that multiple times to gather shift status. But one of the beautiful thing about the side shift is that we are reaching finality on shifts very quickly. So for the majority of chains, you shouldn't have to do this because the shift will finalize in that short period. I can understand if it's like BTC related or it's going to take slightly longer. That might be worthwhile. But the webhook point, yeah, we don't have a webhook, but you can poll the let me just double check the numbers. You can poll the shift endpoint every couple of seconds, basically, using that shift ID. So that's for both fixed rates and variable rate shifts, and it will return the shift status values so that that's available to track the progress, basically.
All right. So yeah, that's all for actually there's one more question. That from Pigjam. I think I can answer this question. The question is, are builders giving a presentation on each phases? So the answer is the from on Akindo. So actually you can put your basically like a YouTube presentation as well. I think I highly recommend to do that. And but it's not necessarily you need to update like put the new presentation. So you can update your presentation the some part. But like definitely it's better to put your presentation for each wave. And of course, like the concept of the Buildathon is keep building. So that let's say like some part you update, it's better to include those part. But also, if you felt for example, if you feel like it's better to completely change your product, it's also acceptable. So like, just all you need is like, keep building and like even like, start a new project as well. So yeah, that's all you need. So yeah, obviously the giving presentation is good, but no need to like create a new presentation for each. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all for the question. If you let me double check. Yes, I think that's all for this time for your question. Thank you for your all question and answering that, George and Blake. By the way, if you missed some part of this online session, don't worry. This session is being recorded and will be published immediately after this live stream on YouTube, so everyone can watch again. And I think that's all the question, and we can go through to the next one. Conclusion. All right. We are nearing the end of today's online workshop. Before we wrap up, George Blake, do you have any final message you'd like to share with builders and potential SideShift builders and submitters? Maybe from their break.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm very excited to see what you guys come up with. As we mentioned, there's been a lot built already with the SideShift API, but I think that there's an insane number of possibilities with it. So I'm very excited to see what you spin up, and yeah, good luck.
Yeah, to those that have already registered, thank you so much. It's been super exciting just watching the number of builders increase day by day as we first came up with this a couple of weeks ago. Nice to see that people are actually interested in building. So yeah, to Blake's point, really excited to see what people come up with. And for those that have watched this, maybe tuned in or were on the fence, hopefully we've won you over. Yeah, we're super excited to see what comes out of this and the weeks ahead. So thank you to those that signed up and excited to get started.
Awesome. And thank you for encouraging builders. It was a fantastic session today, and big thank you to everyone for your active participation. And of course, special thanks to George and Blake for sharing such insightful knowledge and for answering all the questions. It was truly a valuable learning experience for all of us. Okay, and yeah, as we wrap up, let's keep the momentum going. The SideShift build theme is launch real crypto products with the SideShift API. This challenge invites you to build impactful cross-chain swap use cases and scale them to real users. Please note that the SideShift has a special timeline. The SideShift program kicks off on September 8th with a 30 days building period and 7-day judging period. This means you have more time to build during each wave. Grants of 3,000 will be distributed during the first wave, and from the third wave onward, they will go up to $4,000 with a total of $10,000 to be awarded through the SideShift Buildathon. And that's exciting. And it's a great opportunity to contribute to the SideShift ecosystem and showcase your technical skills and present your innovative ideas. Yeah, and don't forget, this Buildathon program isn't just about winning grants. It's also a chance to become an early contributor to a growing SideShift community. For ongoing resources and support as you build, keep an eye on SideShift X and Akindo X, and also stay tuned for upcoming session. And we are here to help. If you have any question or need guidance, don't hesitate to reach out through Akindo's or SideShift Oxford channel on X and Telegram or Discord. All right. I think that's all for today. And thank you, George and Blake, for leading the session. And of course, thank you for everyone who joined us. And we look forward to seeing you at the next session. And we can't wait to see what you build. All right. Have a great day, everyone. And let's keep on building. Let's keep in.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Thank you for great